today I'm going to be introducing to you my 4-year-old Minecraft world that I started back in 2019. The name of it is called Solus. It used to be called 42319 because I didn't really know what to call it at the time, but I settled on Solus as a name because it's basically just my single player world. So the version history of this world, I started it on 1.14.1, the Village and Pillage update. The game rules that I have are no phantoms, no patrols, no wandering traders. But for the performance mods, I have lithium and sodium. For the gameplay mods, I have carpet, mini HUD, mouse tweaks, chat calc, here be no dragons. Classic world gen, this is why I have the here be no dragons. Since I'm in 1.19.4, I actually have my world. It's actually still, the lowest level is actually still 0. Since I mine perimeters by hand, it just makes it a lot easier for me. And plus, I really prefer the old world generation. Moving on, the next data pack that I have is pick uses today, which it basically displays how many pickaxe uses I have today, and I can reset it every day and get a count of how much I've mined today. And by the way, these are all data packs that I have I've made myself. Time info, that basically up at the top there, it converts the your statistic ticks played or whatever into hours played. So at the top there I can just hold tab and see how many hours I've played the game, and as you can see I have played 3,959 hours, almost 4,000. Kind of overdue for a world tour here. Tool total keeps track of how many pickaxe uses you have over all of your pickaxes, so like diamond pickaxe and netherite pickaxe, it just adds them up. And then I have tweaked recipes. I've tweaked a couple of recipes in the game. My rules are no TNT duping. I do not dupe TNT in this world. I allow spectator mode, so I allow myself to go into spectator mode and like view things. No AFK clickers, so I don't have a clicker, or I don't want to use bots to click on farms or whatever. Use a looting sword and just click. I think that's kind of cheaty, so I decided to not use that. And then also no carpet bots, so I don't use carpet bots. This is just purely single player, so when I need to AFK I just leave my computer on. And that's about it for the rules, so let's get into the actual world tour. Alright, so the first thing I want to show you is basically the first farm that I built in this world originally. It's this simple slime farm, swamp slime farm. So like the trick where you use brown mushrooms was not known at the time, so this is kind of the little makeshift like first 5 hours in the world slime farm that I made here. It just has a golem in the middle here, and slimes will spawn at night and they'll be attracted by the golem and they'll fall in these magma cubes and die, and then all their items will go into the chest down here. And you AFK up high above the farm. This is actually a design by Techman88 that I used early on. Not much to it, but it definitely helped out in the beginning. Alright, so this is the first area that I branched out to early on in the world. So I kind of just settled down here, made a couple farms around here. So I have these little irrigated plots here that I use to farm some carrots and wheat and whatnot. There's this big tunnel here, water tunnel, flowing over there to that mountain. Originally, right here was a villager breeder, and I used this tunnel to transport them over there to the little villager trading hall that I have. Up here I had like a sheep farm, a little sheep farm, but it's gone now. So I'll show you this villager trading hall. Originally it was up in the sky above that mountain there, but then since the 1.14 versions were so glitchy, like all the villagers lost their workstations, and I just decided to get rid of it and make it down here so you can walk in here. So this is the minecart track that if I push a minecart it'll pick up one villager and send it down there. Used to it would send it up here. This is where the old rail was, to the old villager breeder up there in the sky. The villagers get sent all the way down here to the villager trading hall. So we have some farmers in this section right here, some librarians in this section, and when they changed it so that the zombie curing discounted their items to like 1 emerald, that's why I have a zombie here. I have 1 armorer here. Originally I used these villagers in here to get these farmer villagers to get emeralds, and then we also have all the good trades that I have them named here. So like efficiency 5 and whatnot, down to 1 emerald, of course. Used to they had their workstations like set in a specific location, but for some reason that didn't, I don't know, it got messed up and I had to separate them out for some reason. Yeah. And then there's just kind of random chests around here. I have, for all the pickaxes, I have efficiency, mending, and breaking, silk touch, and then also some fortune books in these chests. Some emeralds that I've collected and books, and then random enchanted books here. It was originally my original little villager trading hall. I mean to upgrade it in the future, but for now that's what I use. This is another early location in the world. It's a hostile mob farm designed by Il Mango. This is it's just a hostile mob farm. The AFK spot's way up there, and you can go under here to get the items. Desert here that I've kind of destroyed a little bit for sand, and I think I'm not sure, I think it was in 1.14 where they added the ability for TNT to actually drop the items when blowing it up blocks. It drops 100% of the items or whatever, and I used that to collect some sand here. I stopped doing it because it makes the desert, or it makes the world look really ugly. So next we're going to be going to the slime farm. I think this is the first big project that I ever did in the world. Alright, here we are. This is right next to spawn. So this is my first perimeter that I ever built. I decided the first item or farm that I wanted to make was a slime farm. So this was dug with a 3D duper, TNT duper. I say no duping, but this is the only perimeter that I actually used duping in to make. So yes, it took like, I don't know, several days to dig the whole thing out, and then there was all that lava to drain, which was a big pain. But this is I think it's a 16 by 16 chunk perimeter, and obviously it doesn't work now. It's fallen into disrepair. I decorated it with like a little slime face later on, and I smoothed the walls out. That's why you can kind of see these smoother walls here. So yeah, it's just a little slime farm design that I actually made myself. It's 4 slime chunks right next to each other, so I just added, I have these iron golems 4 iron golems, so the slimes get attracted to them, and then they die on these magma cubes, and then all their slime gets sent over here to these chests. So yeah, this is a neat little perimeter. I don't really use it anymore. I want to make a different slime farm because it's so close to the spawn, my spawn perimeter. It kind of just doesn't fit in right here in the world. But it took me quite a long time to do, or not really as long as the other perimeters, but it was my first big project and I was proud of it after I finished it. Especially of this little slime farm design that I made. So this stone floor here, it was actually blasted out underneath, down to bedrock. But I actually came in and placed all these stone blocks here flat, and then I added this carpet on top of it to get the little slime face. But fire has came in and blown everything up since then, and it looks really ugly right now and in quite a lot of disrepair. So back over here by the early village that I used to make the villager trading hall, I decided I needed some wool for building, and I made this huge, way bigger than it should be, wool farm right here. It took me like an hour to breed all the sheep for this thing. It's just a Ilmango design. It has the sheep and it shears them when they eat the grass. And then we have shear refillers up here, and the outputs, all the wool outputs over here. Pretty simple design, but it works. I plan on actually making a new wool farm somewhere else. This is kind of just this one that I decided to make early on. This is kind of where the world really started for me. I needed sand for, I'm not sure what. Oh yeah, for one of my earlier projects, flower farm. I needed a lot of glass, so I decided to find a desert and just dig a big circle perimeter. I actually planned on making a farm here. I'm not a hostile farm or something like that, but I never ended up building anything in it. But this is this is what I call the Colossuem perimeter. My first actual dig project that I decided. It was all dug by hand. This circle here was actually dug by hand. And I think it looks really cool, like a bit cooler than it should be. It's my first perimeter that I actually decorated and made look nice. It took me, I don't know how long it took me. I think it was like 2,500,000 blocks mined or something like that. It was just a minimum size perimeter. But, and the way I dug it was not ideal. Like, it's my first time digging a perimeter. So it took me quite a long time. Many hours of sitting here on the computer and listening to music or podcast or watching movies, just mindlessly working at it. But in the end, I think it turned out pretty good. I added this little floor design down here, simple floor design out of stone and sandstone. It looks pretty cool. And then I also added these pillars on the edges, and expanded it out a little bit. I still might build something here. I'm not sure. It's just kind of like a memorial, like my first ever perimeter that I dug in the world. But I did get a lot of sand though from this in the next project that I'm going to be showing, the flower farm. This is one of my more grander projects. It's basically just a whole biome flower forest that I flattened out and then planted flowers here, all the flower designs, and then added the glass here on top, so on maps you can actually see the design. It looks pretty neat. This is my first really huge project. Actually, the mining I actually did before the Colosseum digging, and this is what I needed the glass for, was all this glass up here that you see. So this isn't actually just decorative. I actually have farms for each flower. Sadly, they don't work anymore since the addition of the 3D biomes, and it changed up the flower forest, the areas where the flowers grow. So these aren't even correct now at this point. But each of these big flowers that I made here, like this big allium, there is a flower farmer underneath the ground here, and this is where I would use it to collect the flowers, each flower type. This is designed by Panic. I'm actually proud of these 3D versions of the flowers that I made. This is another project that I did in a smaller proportion on my previous world, but I decided to make a grander and bigger one. And I think it turned out pretty well, actually. It's really pretty when you place down the whole design of all the flowers and everything. It's actually a pretty big area as well. And the way I placed it in this world is that I actually used early on I used light Matica. I don't actually use light Matica now, but earlier on I was kind of more lenient on using it. I mean, I guess for this project it isn't really too much of a big deal because this is kind of just decorative, but it looks really nice though, I think. And the glass looks really cool too, especially on a map. So yeah, we have little 3D versions for each of the flowers that I designed. I think they look pretty nice. It's kind of hard to go based off of this little 2D flower, like how it would actually look in 3D, but I did my best and I think it turned out pretty well. So the flattening out, I just used a pickaxe and just mined out all the hills down to this certain level, and then placed all the grass and then the flowers and whatnot. But that's pretty much it for the flower farm. There's a little farm over here I call the cocoa bean factory. I'm not even sure if it works still, but it's kind of like a factory design that I made here and decorated over this cocoa bean farm. So this cocoa bean farm, I'm not sure if it works now. I don't want to try to mess with it, but you sit in this minecart and it pushes you along, up and then down, and then you break the cocoa beans and they fall down and then get sucked up by a minecart. It worked pretty well for a while. I haven't used it in like several years at this point, but I didn't know there was actually shulkers over here. I can't remember who designed this farm. I have it in a YouTube playlist, but yeah, it works pretty well, and it kind of looks, I guess it's just for looks now really, because I mean you can obviously just build a nano cocoa bean farm that probably gets better rates than this thing does, but I like it because it's kind of nice looking and it just kind of fits well in this little area here. So after my digging of the Colosseum perimeter, I noticed that my game was lagging a lot. And then I tried to find out why, and I found out that it's because I had a huge amount of entities in my spawn chunks, and it really frustrated me that I was getting these huge lag spikes. during playing. So I decided to just mine out all of my spawn chunks. So by hand, yeah, of course. So that's what I proceeded to do for the next, like, I don't know how long this took me. I think it took me like 2 months, 3 months, or something like that. It was it's still the biggest perimeter that I've ever mined to this day. I think it was like around 6,000 blocks, or 6,000, or no, not 6,000, but 6,500,000 blocks or something like that. And it's just a square cutout of the spawn chunks. This is actually spawn chunks. Over here is the spawn area where I started the video. So that's the little, this is close to originally where the spawn point was. It was somewhere in this area. So none of what I had built here is left because it's all gone at this point, but this is I believe it's a 400 by 400 area here. And then completely mined by hand, diamond pickaxes. And the direct decoration that I'm planning on making here is a big maze. I've started on it actually. I haven't built the walls yet, but I've built the floor. So the walls will go above this stone right here, and the floor will be white concrete. So it'll actually be a maze. I found a maze generator and just copied it basically block for block into this little design here, and I think it looks really neat. It'll look a lot better when I actually end up building the walls here. Currently I don't have enough sand. I'm still working on getting enough sand to make all the black concrete. And then I'm going to be covering it up with a layer of glass. And it'll look really nice at that point. But right now it's still a work in progress. Here on the what is this direction is this? The eastern side, I have this is my mob switch. Yes, there we go. Mob switch. Originally it was a building on the ground, but then it had to be moved down to this, and I kind of made it pretty inconspicuous here, so you can hardly even tell it's here. It's a shulker mob switch. It's actually a double mob cap shulker mob switch, so 2 players can actually be in the world without spawning mobs in. And this thing is like one of the best upgrades that I've added to my world, because previously mining these perimeters I had to sleep like every 10 minutes or mobs would start spawning at nighttime, and it got really annoying after several hundred hours. But I transported all these shulkers here from the end and put them here, which that was a very annoying process. It's always annoying moving mobs in this game, but shulkers are one of the most annoying mobs to deal with. That's about it for the mob switch here. This portal here I'll be showing later. This actually hooks up to the Nether mob switch. I had to build a Nether mob switch as well for the Nether mobs. I'll showcase that later when I show the Nether hub. What else do we have here in this perimeter? This is actually the center point right here. I have some random things placed around. Still a work in progress, obviously. On the southern side here, you can see where I originally, this is another one of the first things I did after making the slime farm. I made a big tunnel bore to get some ores, and kind of mined a large area out here. This was actually made with a duping tunnel bore, so originally I didn't have the rule no duping, but I decided to change it so that, I mean, I didn't want to dupe anymore, dupe TNT. I thought it was kind of cheaty. But I kind of got a little bit of resources from this early on. So that's what that cavern is. Over here I have the, this is the passive mob switch. This functions as a passive mob switch. So during the time I was mining this perimeter, all these skeleton horses kept spawning, so I just collected them into this area, and they act as a passive mob switch. And this is my fast horse that I just have stabled here. So that's that. You can see here on the corner is the slime farm. I think my plan is to somehow copy the original terrain and just cover it all back up so it looks like I didn't even dig it out. Because I think it looks kind of ugly when it's just kind of right next to this spawn perimeter. Obviously this isn't finished because the walls aren't finished yet. I plan on making like a staircase wall type thing. I think the materials I'll be using are just like some of the basic materials like diorite and stone bricks, but that's still in the works. I haven't finished that yet. Over here on the northern side is another big area that I was originally intending to mine out, but I think that's pretty much abandoned at this point. I think I'm just going to be covering this up. Really, I started mining this area because I needed terracotta, and I was planning on expanding this already huge perimeter even bigger, but I think that'll take too much time and it's not even really worth it because I'm not even going to be building any mob farms in these areas. So I just decided to stop mining at this point here. So this will just be covered up, but I think that's it for the spawn area. Oh yeah, this little sign here, RIP Vin Diesel struck by lightning. So there was I had an iron farm in this area that was loaded all the time since it's the spawn chunks, and I transported a vindicator. It was a vindicator iron farm. I used a vindicator to scare the villagers. So I transported one from like a woodland mansion, like I'm not sure, a long ways away that way, and he was located in this corner of the spawn chunks, the iron farm was, but when I removed the spawn chunks I also removed the iron farm. But I saved the villagers in the vindicator. So I put him right here. I had the villagers somewhere around in this area, and I had the vindicator right here in a boat. And then while I was working on this floor here, like we had a lightning storm, and it actually struck the vindicator here, and he died. So I had a little monument here, a little Easter egg in this that's going to be in this maze. RIP Vin Diesel. His name was Vin Diesel, like Vindicator. Vin for Vindicator. The next location that we are going to be looking at is the Nether Hub. So this has quite a long history to it. Originally I had a giant obsidian tower above the bedrock here, and my storage room was at the top of it. But I decided to get rid of that and dig a little perimeter, a little, in quotation marks, little, dig a perimeter here and have my storage here underneath the bedrock here. So that's what this hole in the bedrock here is originally there was a tower there. So after digging the perimeter here, that's a recurring theme. There's going to be lots of perimeters, obviously. This is another perimeter. It was hand dug by me. I dug it. It's not dug all the way down to bedrock because there's really no point to digging it all the way down to bedrock. But yes, so this was originally where my spawn, my base was gonna be, my storage room and everything. But I decided to move out of it. And this is my design for a castle design, Nether hub design. This huge castle. I think it looks pretty nice. It's still unfinished because I haven't actually finished the perimeter. I guess that's another recurring theme, is that I start new projects without finishing old ones, but oh well. But yeah, we have these huge bridges that, this is the actually the transport system that I use is these ice roads through the Nether. And this connects my world. So down each path is a portal to another location in the world. That's how I've always moved throughout my world, is these ice roads. Originally I had a couple storage halls throughout here, and this is my main storage area. And you have these nice little grass pads here, terraces on this area, these battlements. You can look down. Down here, I plan on getting rid of all this netherrack and magma blocks and filling it all in with lava. So it'll just be this dark castle surrounded by a giant lake of lava. So I still need to finish the tops of the towers and the legs on the bridges and the decorations on the inside. But for now it's at least most of the way finished. It'll have these rooms in here, like an actual castle. So it has lots of hallways, and I'll have some banners on the side. But it's basically just purely decorative now, since I don't have my actual storage room here. Another thing in the Nether hub is what I was mentioning earlier is the shulker mob switch here. This is another annoying project that I did, but I have these. This is actually just a single mob cap shulker switch, so there's only 72 shulkers here. So that's one other thing. There's these striders over here. This is the passive mob switch. I don't think there's enough in here actually now. So the plans for this perimeter is obviously fill in this floor here with lava, and then I think for the walls, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for the walls. I might build like stone or something. I don't know, make it look not like the Nether. And then I actually have to build a ceiling too. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that either, but when I'm done, it'll look pretty interesting. Another thing is like these chests up here. It's all just lava buckets from my previous, like my shulker perimeter. I collected all the lava buckets in the spawn perimeter, and I had my storage room here before I removed it all. And this is what's left over of the storage room. And this is actually good to have here because I'm going to be using these to fill in this floor with lava. So we're coming up on the next little project that I have. This is actually one of the backbones of this world. So this is a portal pigman farm that I designed. It's kind of, I mean, since this is one of my earlier farm designs, it's kind of janky. It doesn't really work that well. I've moved on to better farms at this point, or I've made better farms, and this is the little area around that. I have this little contraption here. This is an AFK pickaxe repair station. So I put all my pickaxe boxes in this thing right here, and I hold this. I like put a weight on my keyboard and keep spinning this pickaxe, and then it's on a timer. So after a certain time, the snowballs will shoot this pickaxe, and then my fully repaired pickaxe will go into this item frame, and this will shoot out a new unrepaired pickaxe, which then will get healed by the experience. So that's just a little simple contraption. I've actually used this pretty much for all my pickaxe uses that I've ever had in this world. So right now currently I have 49.6 million pickaxe uses. So this thing has actually been pretty useful for a long time, but at this point I've built better systems for repairing my pickaxes. This is the ice farm. It's a pickaxe based ice farm. You just slide through water streams and mine these ice blocks, and they get flushed and get collected down over there. This is a modified design by Nimbon. He had an ice farm, and I changed it up with this wood here underneath, and kind of made it a slight bit more compact. But it served me pretty well early on for getting some ice. It's decently big. I think one go through will get you like a pickaxe worth of ice, so like a diamond pickaxe at least, so like 1800 ice blocks. Yeah, I don't really use this anymore. I actually made a newer ice farm that I'll be showcasing right after this. But this worked pretty well for a while. It is a fun little project to build. But we can move on to the new ice farm, which is just slightly over here in this area, not too far. And this is actually one of my favorite projects in this world. Maybe it's because it's actually finished, or close to finished at least, and decorated. So this is just a huge manual ice farm. So it makes this huge cube of ice manually, and you go in and mine it down here. Right now it's full, so it's not it's ready to mine basically. It would take quite a while. I think one pass through will get like, I don't know, like 400,000 ice or something like that can be stored in this huge area. This is actually a design that I made myself. So how it works is I AFK up here after I complete digging out the area. Basically it will, there's some slime block machines. They'll push down this layer of ice right here, and water will flood this whole area. And then a whole new layer will form. These sand pillars will come back up, and then ice will start forming around them, and then it forms a whole new ice layer basically. And then the cycle repeats. The slime block machine will go over these, push down another layer, and then basically to push limit. So there will be 13 layers of ice underneath here to mine. Each of these is 5 minutes, and there's 8 of these, so it's like 40 minutes. This is like a 40-minute timer. So every 40 minutes the slime block machines will go through and make a pass through this area. So it takes like about 8 hours for this thing to form a huge cube of ice, and then I have to go through and manually mine the ice blocks. It's kind of an interesting design because most people just use just kind of sit in one spot and have the pistons push all the ice to one spot, and then just sit there and mine it. But this is kind of like a manual design, but still, I think, interesting at least. And I wanted like a pretty big area to mine, to collect ice with. And it worked out pretty well, so. Alright, so we are in the Nether at a really old location, another really old location. One that I made early on in the world. I have this little horse. This is when I used horses to move throughout the Nether, so I have this little horse contraption here that'll pop up when I move through here, so it'll keep my horse in this location. So there's just some random passive mob drops in these chests here, and this is kind of like the killing area. I have some when I was capturing horses, I saved them over here and put the speed of them up here. So if we go through this portal here, we can actually see the farm. So I found this little island here, and this is another place where I used a 3D duper to actually mine the area underneath. That's how you can tell it was definitely early on in the world. So down here at bedrock level, or really low down, we have this design that I made. Passive mob farm design, so passive mobs will spawn on this grass. We have these tripwires here, so it'll detect them and it'll flush them over into the portal, and they'll go into the Nether, into that killing area that I showed you. Alright, so here above the Nether, I built a gold farm over here, a Nimbon gold farm design. The item collection is actually my design. But yeah, this is just a simple pigman gold farm. The pigmen fall down here and die, and then all the gold nuggets get collected in this area. I'm going to actually be removing this and building it in my other actual gold farm perimeter that I dug, because that's another thing that I don't really like doing in the world, is building on top of this bedrock. It just seems kind of unintended to me, and it kind of looks weird when you build things up here on top of the bedrock. So this is the block factory, is what I call it, because I'm going to be building like a factory design around this. This is kind of the area where I have my my wood farm and my cobblestone farm and my basalt farm. So I have some storage down here for the basalt and whatnot, and the cobblestone. Underneath here I have a furnace array, which is a design by myself. It definitely needs to be modified a little bit, because it doesn't really work the way I wanted it to. It's still kind of jank. The last thing over here is the large fungus farm that I designed as well. This is a very simple design. I think I'm going to make a showcase video over it. Like, you can make this probably your first day in the world and have like pretty much all the wood you're ever going to need, or all the fungus, at least fungus wood type. Basically the fungi just grows here and gets pushed over, and then after it gets to this point it gets pushed over here, and then after a certain amount of pushes of this thing, it'll get blown up and go into this storage area. The blast chamber here is unconventional, because it doesn't really, like, the output doesn't get put into like a single block stream. It just gets pushed over and then pushed over here with this wall of pistons here. And this little module up here is a concrete converter module that I made. Alright, so we are at the fish perimeter. This is another perimeter that I dug. It is in the shape of a fish. And it's actually smaller than a normal perimeter, a normal mob farm perimeter, because I farm fish here, and the range that they spawn in is actually smaller than normal hostile mobs. Since 1.19, the changes to the fish spawning, this actually doesn't work right here, but I plan on rebuilding the farm up a little ways. This is a lukewarm ocean, I think it's what it's called. Yep, a lukewarm ocean, so you get tropical fish and puffer fish, and I think cod as well. And then over here is a river biome that I've removed the salmon farm here, but to rebuild it, but this is where it was. And I haven't finished the decorations or anything. This is kind of just a design that I thought would look interesting, but I think I'm going to change it up. This was kind of my first perimeter that I had to remove a lot of water for, and it was interesting doing that part. At least it didn't take me a long time because this isn't a very big perimeter. But alright, so we are here in the salmon perimeter, or at least what I call the salmon perimeter. It's in the middle of a frozen ocean, so I had to mine all these icebergs, and I mined it down to bedrock. This is another smaller perimeter since it's a fish perimeter. It's just a circle. It didn't take, I think it took me like maybe, I don't know, maybe a week to complete this. But I needed a bunch of cod or salmon for a furnace array XP system that I designed. And this did the trick at the time. I don't really use it anymore. So it'll probably have to be rebuilt or abandoned. I'm not sure what I want to do with it anymore. But it's just a little fish farm that I have here. It's the same design as the previous one. I think this is an El Mango design. Shifting mob or shifting floor fish farm design, which works pretty well. All these locations are scattered out around my world, and you just get through them through the Nether, so I'm kind of cutting out all the travel time, which is not really that interesting. Alright, so over here we have the unfinished triangle perimeter. This is another unfinished project. That's kind of what I did early on. I just said, oh, screw it, I'll just dig another perimeter. I didn't really have any, didn't really think it really through a lot, like why I'm digging a perimeter here or what I want to put there. I just kind of said, hey, I'm just going to dig a perimeter there. So this was going to be a triangle perimeter. It's like halfway done pretty much. I still have a lot of sand here, sandstone and sand. And this is the first perimeter that I used water streams to collect the items into one area. But not too much here going on here though. So the next project I want to showcase is the dual witch farm. This was another very early project. It's just 2 witch huts. There's 2 witch farms here. These farms are El Mango's design and kind of decorated by me. I just lit up the area around here and the AFK spots up there. Basically witches spawn in here, go through the portal and go into the Nether. But earlier on I needed some redstone for bigger projects, so I decided to make a dual witch farm. Since I found this area, this is quite a long ways away from spawn. This is kind of like another old abandoned project. I still use it now, but I plan on making a new witch farm that'll be closer to spawn actually. This doesn't even have a perimeter with it or anything, but the new one definitely will have a perimeter. So that's it for the overworld side. Since I upgraded my world to 1.19 and the world generation changed, the portals in my world are all messed up. But this is kind of what the nether side looks like. The witches come through here and you slash them with a sword, a looting sword, and they will drop their loot into these chests. Pretty simple. I kind of decorated a little bit like a witchy style, witch hut kind of style, with the purple glass doors or glass windows. So I'm beginning to realize that there's definitely a lot more locations and things that I've done in this world than I've actually realized. A lot of it's just old stuff that I'm planning on redoing anyways, but I think I'll still showcase it anyways. It's kind of like history of my world here. By the way, that ice highway up there, that was the original ice highway that I made when I originally had the storage above the nether hub there. But I decided to make a new ice highway down here so it would be on the level of this castle area. So moving on to the old fortress farm. This is another really old project in my world. This is a Nimbon design fortress farm that I made to get some wither skulls to make beacons. I actually slabbed this whole area up. Yeah, it works pretty good. I don't really use this anymore now. I have another wither skeleton farm, but it's still here, so I decided to show it. Alright, so now we are in the plant area. This is a kind of an older area, but there's some newer additions to it. This is where I have my sugarcane, pumpkin, and melon farms. They each go through and into down underground here into some shulker box loaders. Another thing that I've added recently is a bamboo and cactus farm, a huge, actually pretty huge bamboo farm. This is a design that I made myself. And then a cactus farm designed by Il Mango. I've actually decorated the bamboo farm so far. I haven't actually decorated the cactus farm, but this is a bamboo cactus farm, and then in the middle here is a furnace array. So furnace array, or a furnace XP array. So each of these furnaces will get fed cactus and bamboo. They'll go into here, and then a certain number of items will be smelted, and then after a certain time it'll fill up. There'll be green dye here, and then later on I can just come in and with my pickaxe boxes come in and repair my pickaxe. And I've noticed that I don't actually have enough cactus supply, so I'm going to have to actually expand the cactus farm taller. This is actually one of the most recent projects that I've worked on. This kind of replaced the pigman XP farm because it's a lot faster to just come in here and repair 2 pick boxes or whatever rather than sitting at the pigman XP farm for a long time. It will fill up these furnaces by itself, and then I can come in later on and just come repair my picks whenever I need it. So I'm pretty happy with it, except for the fact that the furnace arrays don't fill my pickaxe all the way up. But these bamboo farms are kind of interesting. It's a redstone line goes up to each of these bamboo shoots, and slime blocks push over, and all the bamboo gets shot down into this water stream. It took a little bit to make, maybe like 1 day to build. And this cactus farm as well took a day or so. In this plant area, I still want to make a lot of plant-based farms. I still have plans to make a lot of plant-based farms in this area. So there's definitely going to be lots of expansion here in the future. Alright, so we are at the Magma perimeter. This is my first Nether perimeter that I ever dug. This is a heptagon, so 7-sided polygon. It's in a magma, a basalt deltas biome. Right when the Nether update came out, 1.16, I decided to experience some of the new content by digging this big perimeter. And this was actually, I think this is my second largest perimeter that I've ever dug. This is more done than most of the farms, at least. I've built the walls here. I haven't built the floor yet. I'm still needing some materials for that. And then I added these beacons on the side here, which kind of look interesting. And right over here we actually have an old bartering farm that I still use. Just a simple pigman bartering farm. There's 2 chambers here that hold, I think, 24 pigmen or so. You just put gold there and they'll give you the items. So I kind of just raided this bastion and set up this bartering farm right here. Here we are at the piglin bartering / gold farm in the Nether. This is the second Nether perimeter that I've ever dug. The third being the Nether hub, and the first being the Magma perimeter. This is just a diamond-shaped perimeter, and it's all the way down to bedrock, so I had to remove all this lava here, which is always annoying in every Nether perimeter. And I've kind of got a template of what kind of floor design I want to make here. It's going to be like a kind of diamond design as well, as the kind of goes off of the shape of the perimeter here. And I have it spawn proofed down here with all these glowstone blocks. My goal right now is to finish all these unfinished projects. Alright, so we are at the sea perimeter now. This is a multiple mob farm perimeter. This kind of marks a change in my strategy for digging perimeters. I decided to dig perimeters that have multiple farms in them, so I'm not just digging a huge perimeter just for one farm, and I can kind of be more efficient that way. So this will have a guardian farm right over here. It has a drowned farm right here, but I'm currently digging a new drowned perimeter, so I'm going to get rid of this. It didn't turn out working the way I wanted it to, so this will be removed. We've got a squid farm right over there, and then a glow squid farm down here, and the floor is just covered with water to spawn proof it. On the edges here we have blue glass to prevent the sea from flowing in. It's actually like a parallelogram shape to perimeter. I think this is, like, in terms of volume, it's probably close to the spawn perimeter. It might be even a little bigger, but it didn't actually take as long as the spawn perimeter because most of the blocks were just water. So the water removal actually doesn't take as long as the digging. So my plans for this are, I want to remove all the blocks underneath the water floor here and replace them with sea lanterns in between the bedrock. And then for the edges here, I want to make some use some copper blocks and prismarine and make some pretty big arches along the edges for the walls, and have some like waterfalls flowing in between the arches. So I think that'll look pretty cool. For the farms, I still have to build the guardian farm, and then right here I'm going to build a turtle farm. Oh yeah, I want to build like a dolphin and a cod farm, probably like in this area. I stored all the guardians over here, or the elder guardians right over here. So I might be using them for something. I don't know yet. And it's actually pretty close to being finished. I'm actually working on getting the materials, the copper. That's why I'm making a drowned farm, because I want to get the copper to build the walls. And I think I have a guardian farm design that I want to use. So another project that I've started, kind of, is a wither skeleton plus ghast farm perimeter. It's going to be another multi-farm perimeter. It's just going to be a big rectangle. Right now I've currently just dug several layers on it. I'm going to have a quad, I think it's like a quad intersection wither skeleton farm, so it'll be a pretty efficient one. And then I'll have a ghast farm as well on one side. And I'll also get a lot of netherite from this, so that'll be a bonus. Okay, so another little area in my world that I've built a farm at is this Solsand Valley. I've built a wither skeleton farm here. This was mainly to get coal for this Salmon XP grinder that I was tinkering with. It's just a simple wither skeleton design. It's got the wither roses, and then the wither skeletons are attracted to the piglins there. They fall down here, and then either I kill them or they just fall down and drop their coal. This is the collection system here was actually designed by me. But yeah, it's just a simple wither skeleton farm design. This is like a temporary farm before I actually dig that wither skeleton farm. So currently we are under the Nether hub now. This is going to be a major project that I'm going to be building in my world here. This is actually a pretty cool teleportation system that I've designed. It uses redstone signals to encode certain values or certain locations in my world with music disks. So if I can for any location I can set a specific music disk or 2 specific music disks for the location. So when I'm at that location and I want to go to another location, I just say, hey, let's put in chirp and ward, for example. So then that will take me to a specific location in my world that I have set to be chirp and ward. So it's going to be pretty useful because it's basically just AFK. So I can just input the location I want to go to, and any location in my world, it will transport me there. But right now I just currently don't have the music disks, so I'm going to have to build a creeper farm, music disk farm, before I can actually utilize this system. And as well, I only have 2 locations hooked up currently. This is kind of just like a prototype version that I was testing to see if it would actually work before I built the whole thing. Yeah, but the gist is it'll basically be I'll be able to go from one point in my world to another point, any other point, without actually having to go through a ice tunnel or whatever, and it'll be AFK, so it'll be even better than like a piston bolt. The next project I want to showcase is my storage area, and currently it's not decorated yet, but I dug this pretty big hole here. But I decided to dig it around a end portal so that I'll have access to the end and access to the Nether. So there's lots of things here in this storage hall area. On this wing we have bulk storage for all the natural blocks. So over the 4 years of playing this, I have gathered quite a lot of blocks. So I've designed this little storage hall type thing. So this is really useful to just be able to grab a shulker box whenever you want to and take it with you. Down this other hall is a mirror image of this one basically, except this is items and redstone components. Down this hall we have shulker box loaders and shulker box unloaders. In this little section we have rocket refill and food refill shulker boxes. Here we have my redstone box refiller. So when I go out in the world and I have this redstone box here, when I run out of items, I can come back here and just turn this off, take this box out, put this box in, and it'll automatically just fill up the box back with the redstone components, so that I'll always have redstone components on me, and I don't have to manually refill it. Same goes for this useful blocks box here. Here will be the teleporter station for this area. This is going to be connected to the teleporter system that I showed. You put in music discs here, press a button, the minecart goes through the portal, and then it sends that signal to another location in my world, and then I'll be teleported to that location. Over here we have a revised brewing system that I showed earlier in the video. This is a revised version to just fit within this hallway. So yeah, it's basically the same. You just push your ingredients that you want, and then it inputs them into there, and then the output will be over here in this barrel. And I have a little bit of storage for potion boxes that I've made already. Over here this is the bulk storage. This is my bulk storage, so all my stone that I've collected, basalt and whatnot, are just stored in these chests and shulker boxes. Pretty much just a big chest wall. And over here is a multi-item sorter that I just recently built. I have several categories throughout the thing, and then all the loose items go in this chest and it gets sorted through the system. But that's it for my storage here. I still have to decorate the main area, this main central area here. The current project that I'm working on is a drowned farm. Right now I am digging, in the process of digging it. I have removed the water so far, all the water in the area. It's just a big river biome that I've marked out here with the netherrack. So I'm going to be putting some water columns and some nether portals, and then making a pretty big drowned farm to get a lot of copper. The decoration is going to be, it's just a circle right now, but to make it unique from the Colossuem perimeter, I want to make it like a terraced circle. So after I dig this main area, I'm going to move out a certain radius and have another circle around this thing, and then dig that down maybe like halfway. For the theme of this decoration, I want to make it like mossy and overgrown, and kind of like the lost city of Atlantis is what I'm thinking of. There's still a lot of digging to do here. I think I plan to do most of the digging on stream, so whenever I decide to get on and dig, I'll just stream it. One innovation that I've added to this perimeter is this manual sorting system here. So at each beacon there's a water stream. So when my inventory gets filled up with ores, or I can just throw them into this water stream, they'll get sent to the central location. And I actually have a dolphin here that'll refresh the items. When I'm about to get off, or when I get the chance, I can come over here, and if I want to sort out, like let's say granite, I can just fill up my whole inventory with granite, and then come over here, and then all the items will be sorted out into my inventory. And this is a lot faster than like a multi-item sorter, even though it's manual. So I thought it fitting that we end the video in the end, so that's where we're going right now. So you'll notice there's one major thing missing from this end, from my end here, and that is the end island. The end island is actually gone, and the way that it disappeared is that I mined it all by hand, which was quite the arduous task. I don't think a lot of people have ever mined the end island by hand, can say that they have done that, but I did. I killed the ender dragon enough times to get all the end portals, and then started mining the end island. I have some screenshots of that, but and there's this big ice road here. That's where I took all the shulkers from. That direction I came from those end cities out there, brought them here, and then took them back to the overworld. But yeah, there's not much through these portals. I don't really like building in the end. It just seems like kind of a weird place to build things, since it's just kind of like islands floating in the air, and there's not much out here, and the sky is kind of like gray and lifeless. For the decoration around this end portal, I think I'm going to make a big UFO. I think that'll look pretty cool in this, since the end kind of reminds me of space, kind of. So, and down there is like a little wither skeleton, or wither killer. So you can just put them in the end, or the bedrock blocks here, and they'll just suffocate. One more thing that I want to put in the end here is a Enderman farm. I want to incorporate it into the UFO somehow, so that's one of my future plans for the end here. I also still need to make another shulker farm, so that'll be at least one location. But that's about it for the world tour. So for my statistics, some highlights here are distance walked. Since when I mine perimeters, I just walk. This is definitely it's even more than the Elytra. Games quit, yeah, 2,756. 1,150,000 jumps. I've died 135 times. Time played 165 days. So not quite as much as some other people that I've seen, but I can say that most of this is not AFK time. I think at least 90% of it is actually me playing. Okay, so let's move on to items. So the times mined, let's see here. Yep, 20.6 million stone mined is the most. Netherx the next. Another crazy one is end stone, so like this is basically all just the end island. 1.1 million end stone mined. And the crazy thing about that is that end stone doesn't insta mine, so you have to mine it like really, really slow. Sand and gravel. Honestly, you always need more sand and more gravel, seems like, so you need to mine a lot more of those. Blackstone from the Magma perimeter. Just recently updated the game, or just recently got deep slate in the game, fairly recently at least, so that's why this is pretty low. Coal ore, 333,000 coal ore. That's a crazy one. Iron ore. Obsidian, I've actually mined quite a bit of obsidian manually as well. Nether bricks, that's an annoying one. Nether quartz ore. And then you kind of move on to just random blocks. I guess dark oak log. That's from mining dark oak forests. Shulker boxes are up there. observers. I don't know if there's anything that I haven't mined. Oh, I guess there's quite a bit of stuff that I haven't mined. A lot of the decorative blocks, I guess, because I don't really do a lot of decoration. Okay, I think that's it for the blocks category. Let's see, times broken. I've broke way too many diamond pickaxes and way too many netherite pickaxes than I needed to, because that's always annoying when you break a efficiency 5 netherite pickaxe or diamond pickaxe on accident. It's always annoying to replace those. Times crafted, let's see. Bone meal, just kind of the basic materials, I guess. And some of these blocks were from the decoration things, the decoration projects that I've had to do. So nothing too interesting there. Times used, obviously netherite pickaxe is the main one, and then diamond pickaxe is the second. Originally, before the Nether update, netherite pickaxes just didn't exist, so that's why diamond pickaxe is so high here. It's because originally I just used diamond pickaxes. But recently, the netherite pickaxe has actually overcome the diamond pickaxe in pickaxe uses. You can't even see it here because the statistics screen is so messed up, but... And then diamond shovel, of course. Netherite shovel is coming up pretty close now. Diamond sword, diamond axe. Tools are a big one here. Picked up these are kind of the boring categories. Obviously stone, I guess, from mining so much. And then dropped stone in all these natural blocks pretty much. So that's it for those. The mobs. Yep, I've killed pretty much everything in the game. A lot of endermen from an enderman farm that I had early on. Pillagers. I guess I've killed a lot of pillagers. A lot of skeletons. Oh, and it shows you what you've been killed by. Ravager killed me 9 times. Okay. Okay, I died by 16 slimes 16 times. Okay. I think the most is probably... What was it? No, it's zombified pigman. Yep, from the pigman farm. And then wither skeletons, another big one. Witches, another big one. So that's it for those statistics. I have some scoreboard statistics. So yeah, 49,618,598. That's quite a lot. And counting still, because I'm still mining, or I'm still doing dig projects. I'm not sure if that's the most out of any player in the game, but it's probably close to one of the top positions. But yeah, I'm getting really close to 50 mil, so that's going to be a really big milestone. Let's see. I think the shovel uses. Let's see shovel uses. 3,198,000. Okay, drastically less than the pickaxe uses. What's another one? Hoe uses 60,000, and then finally axe uses. So I think that wraps up the video pretty much. There's lots of things that I can mention that I want to work on in my world, but I think I'll just end it here. It's already probably pretty long by itself. My goal right now is to actually finish projects that I've started, so after I finish the drown perimeter, I plan on doing the sea perimeter, finishing that up, and then after that just keep on wrapping up projects and try not to start any new ones, even though it's very tempting. But if you're still here watching this, well, thank you for watching through the whole thing, I guess. I plan on putting time steps in the video, so to make it easier to navigate such a long video. But that's my world tour circa 2023. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.